Now it's recording. So welcome everyone to our monthly call, our Women's Circle call. And it's been evolving so much, our name. Like we have a Shakti circles, like a Nam women circles, like healing circles. And it's so beautiful to see our beautiful women's community of women to expand and to create beautiful circles and gathering. And I've been seeing the pictures, and now we are like 10 countries. We just had Peru joining, which is amazing because we don't have Nam Yoga in Peru. So she's been taking classes with me online, and now she's so inspired that she wanted to recreate the circles in Peru. So it's amazing. It's amazing how when women we gather together and we hold the space and we have a vision, which is very important. And today I'm very excited because we have Teresa with us. I'm going to introduce her very soon. But first, I really wanted to say thank you, everyone, for your time, for your love, for being there, for holding this space. I know creating this space for having these circles every month is not an easy thing. You have to invite our women's, and then, it is a lot. So I wanted to kind of touch a little bit about some tips or things I do every month. Well, first of all, I really do like my mindset. Like every new month is like, okay, my women's, who are they? So I create a list and then I write their names. There's some that they come every month, and every month we have some new. So what I do is I just start thinking like, who are they, where they're coming, and then I start making my list. I call it my list of women of light. In Spanish, it's So then I have my list, and then I start picturing everything, like when it's going to happen, and I start creating like a theme. I love music, so I play some instruments sometimes, but don't worry, you don't have to play anything. But it may be for you to incorporate something new. Maybe it can be like, I don't know, using essential oils, or I don't know, bringing your goddess cards and reading a message for them. Or I don't know, maybe, like a massage for the hands, or you can do, I don't know, anything that you think that can benefit the women's and can be something created and also a little bit different. Because humans, we get to tend to go very easy in the comfort zone. So when something is the same, it's like it gets boring sometimes, even though we have a great thing, which is why we do what we do, right? We want to send healing and love to the world. But also we need to create the kind of the commitment that we do it together. So we gather, like you're hosting, or, I always say, like, I am leading this circle, but we are doing this together, because if it wasn't for you, I just will be here sitting myself. So it's nice that they feel like, this sense of this is my tribe, this is my safe place where I can just be, where I can talk, where I can cry, or I can sleep, or I can just say, I have a headache, I had the headache the whole day and I need a hug, right? So I think that is the most important thing, that they feel and you feel like same with us, right? Like, you're transparent and you speak from your heart, and then you, little by little, you start creating and manifesting the circles. And then, every month is different, so maybe someone is busy or something. But then another good thing is maybe go to events or go to places where you don't usually go, and then you can meet people. So you can create like these little cards, like with the date and time where you are hosting your circle. And then, it's, Dr. Levry says, when you're ready, like the universe bring you the right people. And sometimes, you don't have your card or something. So it's good that you say, okay, I'm doing my circle on this, I don't know, February 17th. That's my birthday. By the way, you say, I'm doing my birthday circle. You know, I say this month, for example, it's going to be my birthday. So I want to do everything together. We celebrate my birthday and we do the circle. So, you know, that's another reason that you can gather together. So those are the things I feel like, you know, we decide, we think, we write our list, and then the universe and God takes over, and whatever has to happen, it needs to happen, it will happen. But then, you know, you give the first step. So we create actions, and then we are ready. So we have our cards, or you have your personal card, and then you meet someone and you're like, hey, you know what? I don't know. I'm having a circle like 2 weeks from now. It's a women's circle. We just gather, we share, we sing, we meditate. I don't know, maybe you can come, you know, and then you just give the card and then they will say, yes. So, you know, keeping in your mind, have a chat. Oh my goodness. Very close. So if you don't know, you have a chat here on the right that you can leave comments. And Nata and I, we are birthday girls of February. So, you know, it's just keep it in your mind that this is going to happen. And then, you know, our energy is the one that attracts, you know, and God, you are like, you know, I'm giving you your body, my body, and, you know, everything is here, so you can use me to serve. What would you like me to do, you know? And then you just see it. Everything just kind of unfolds. And then whatever happens is the best, always. So, and then you do it again, and then you do it again, and then you're like, oh, okay, you have the 3 P's. The persistence, you're patient, and you have persevere. And then, yeah, the blessings coming. And this is very beautiful too that we now have our circles that are online, and we have so many comments from the circle that Rose was I think she disconnected, maybe something with the internet, but she will see it later. It was amazing. And then this month was Denise, and then I believe Aline is hosting next month. So we have many comments and people sharing the online women's circle. And then, you know, this is evolving every time. So thank you everyone for doing this all together, and I am very excited. Okay, so now I am going to introduce my beautiful sister, which I love so much, and I have so much fun every time I see her. Her name is Teresa Coltrane, and she's a women's coach. And today we have her with us. Welcome, Teresa. Yay!
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. This is really cool. And I just want to thank you for all of the time and energy and love that you've put behind this whole movement. It's really beautiful to see it come to life. And as you were saying, there's so many different groups and parts and pieces, and as you've been online now, so it's really inspiring. And I'm so proud of you, and it's so amazing. So I just want to thank you for creating this space.
Thank you, my love. Thank you for being here. I was looking forward for this interview because I just find fascinating what you do and so important. Teresa is a women's coach. So I have a couple of questions to ask you so everybody gets to know you. So how did you start it? Like, I want to be a women's coach. How everything started for you?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of a whole journey. So at the age of 25, I went through the loss of losing my father to pancreatic, and that's really heavy year. Cancer. I got married, I got laid off, and then I also had a miscarriage, all in the same year of life. So it was kind of like this time of just really life was waking me up, and it was kind of like this birth of consciousness that happened to me all at once. So right after that, I spent kind of the years after that just kind of trying to heal, but really kind of took me on a self-discovery journey to really just kind of go deep with like who I am and what I was going through and how to heal myself. And I just kind of dove into self-help and really just became inspired by my own healing process to help others, because I was finding as I was healing, I could see the other side of the situations that I had went through, and I was able to grow from the situations. And so I felt at the time, I'm like, gosh, if anyone else is going through a loss of a loved one, or going through a divorce or job loss, or any of these things are really heavy life events, but you will be okay. There is a, and so I was working in for probably about 5 years, and I was doing learning and development. So I was training Square, and I was a project manager. And I just kind of had this natural like cheerleader like attitude. I was also a cheerleader growing up, but I was just very like positive, and I would always like cheer everyone on. And I really loved being organized. And the human resources contact, she said, you know what, I would really love to start grooming you to become a coach, to kind of help coach like leadership and management. And actually, right when that was about to happen, our company, our founders sold the company. So we ended up getting laid off again. But it actually, we talk about manifestation. It's so funny. 2 months prior to this layoff, I was at New Year's Eve with all my friends, and we went around the table and we said, what is it that you want in this new year? And I said, I really want to find my passion and purpose in life. And literally a month after that happened is when I got let go from this opportunity, but I had the idea planted in me to be a coach. And so after this happened, I decided to go to a coaching program in a school. And I loved the whole program. And the first day that I sat down in the coaching school, I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. So after that, I decided to start my own coaching practice. And the idea of where I wanted to, shift my focus in helping people was really kind of right off the bat, it was towards women. And I wanted the shift to be towards women who were kind of like me, which was somebody who is happy and successful, but I always kind of have this inner critic with me who is a perfectionist or a people pleaser or has negative self-talk. And I started to notice there's a lot of women that struggle kind of with all of those things. And so as I was healing and growing, I was noticing I was attracting other women that were going through the same thing. So it's really become a passion of mine to really help women, tap into, what their negative self-talk is coming from, why it's here, and, how to move it aside so that they can, succeed in life.
Wow. The universe was like, okay, Teresa, this is what you're going to do now. It was like a
yes.
Wow. And
yes.
you think like about something like every day when you wake up, like what inspires you to do, like, you're like, okay, now I am a women's coach, I need to find my clients, and that how you keep positive, because how you do it.
Yeah. So it has a lot to do with, if I'm in alignment with myself. If I'm kind of out of alignment, my inner critic voice of like, you can't do this, you're not smart enough, what are you doing? Like all those negative thoughts kind of come up, and it makes it kind of hard and makes me scared, and I'm afraid to move forward. Or if I'm in alignment, which means I've had proper sleep, I've done my meditations, I've spent time with connecting with people and healthy exercise and food, then I kind of wake up feeling very happy and recharged and just excited to help the next woman, or I'm just really inspired to just share any of this wisdom that's going to help women, because I really do believe all of us are so special. We are so powerful. But I think some of us don't know quite how to use that yet, especially if the voice of our inner critic is loud. So, but we all have something very special to offer to the world. So that's kind of like what wakes me up. It's like, oh my gosh, all of us are so special. I have to like go help women so that they like, get rid of their inner critic and they tap into their power and their purpose so that they can start helping, save the world. And I think it's so interesting. Dr. Levry has said this a lot in his lectures. He's talked about, the power of women is that we can be these nurturing creatures, but also very like these like powerful forces of just like holding space and kind of, just being elegant and graceful as we do it. And I think the planet really needs a lot of that right now. It needs a lot of nurturing. It needs a lot of leading by example with graceful words and a graceful presence. And we all have it. It's just we're at the moment. So that's kind of what inspires me. Is I just want to help everyone get to a space where they feel happy and excited and tapped into their purpose so that they can help the world. So
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And also it makes me think like, you know, how important it is to have them, like things, you know, like you do every day that you can create that habit. So when you don't feel like, you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, I don't feel like super way, you know, super excited to do what I have to do today. You can, you know, like you said, be in alignment with yourself and then start, okay, I shut out like the inner critic, or I think actually we should do like a whole episode about inner critic. But then you know what you have to do in order to be there in that, I will say, you know, vibrational alignment with who you want to be and who you are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, use social media for positivity too. And so even Pinterest, like I love going on Pinterest, inspired that way, or if I see other people's stories that are positive, I get inspired that way. I think it's so beautiful that we have calling systems like this where we can all call in together and just be able to share like internationally. Like this to me is like the coolest thing ever. I get to see you and talk about what we love. It's like I'm in heaven right now. I woke up today, I was like, oh my gosh, I get to do this call with Lola today. So it was the highlight of my day today. So it's very cool.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And now I will give you free space so you can talk about anything you feel like we can be, you know, we can use for our circles, for our daily life to feel better, to empower ourselves. So anything they're open to receive.
Okay, I love this. Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and it's been cool because Ellen Theobald and I, we have been hosting circles. We've kind of taken a break because she was traveling in Germany, and but as you know, what I noticed when we were doing these circles, it was kind of cool. The two of us actually would kind of be going through something in our personal lives, and then we would come together and have the ceremony, and then the two of us afterwards were like, oh my gosh, like we feel so much better now because we kind of released it, you know, during, you know, the ceremony and the gathering with the women. So it's really cool how that just kind of automatically happens. And so I would say if you guys are looking for some things to add on, because, you know, it's like, okay, we've got the full moon and then, you know, then we're going to go into a waning moon. So I know that in a lot of circles, you probably talk a lot about letting go. And since I'm just, you know, in the world of the inner critic, like that's a really good exercise to, you know, walk women through is like identifying, you know, what their negative self-talk is, because what a woman tells herself on a daily basis, like mentally, can really make or break her success in her career and in her life. So we really want to become, you know, conscious of what that inner dialogue is, you know, feeding us, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And you really, to get rid of it or to develop a relationship, I like to say is like, you won't actually ever get rid of the inner critic, but what develop a really healthy relationship. And the best way of doing it is actually just facing it head on and asking yourself, okay, what is the negative self-talk that I, you know, say to myself all the time? So like, for example, mine, which I've kind of learned over time, is that I struggle with like perfectionism and people pleasing. And I kind of had to dig back in time and do my own work. And what I found is that I have, you know, I'm working on healing a fear of abandonment. And I'm not sure exactly where it came from childhood, but somewhere from there. But that fear unconsciously drives behind when my inner critic is louder. It's like, oh, if I'm not perfect, I will be loved. And if I'm not loved, I will be abandoned. So you can imagine, like if I'm out of alignment, if I'm going into my career or if I'm in a relationship, that underlying fear is driving all my thoughts. It's driving my perception of how I'm seeing my world and how I'm showing up in my career or in my relationships. So really like becoming very clear with what is causing you to have these negative thoughts and just try to understand where it's coming from. And also too, because it's kind of scary to face yourself too. You know, it takes a lot of courage. And Dr. Libri says this all the time in lectures too, the hardest thing you'll ever have to do is face yourself. And it's so true because the stuff that goes on inside of us, it can be kind of dark or sad. But that's the stuff that needs to come out and be healed. And so when you can be brave enough to stop and face, you know, what it is that's bothering you, or keeps coming up, or whatever that negative critic is, you can see what you can learn from it. So usually it's highlighting an area where you need to improve or become better. So really it's helping you out on a kind of a weird level. Like it's kind of negative, but once you can kind of see, shine a, then when you have that awareness, you have a chance to go back and heal it and work with it. And so you really want to become friends with your inner critic and develop a healthy relationship. But so I had an idea for your circles, if you want to. One exercise you can do is you can have your women identify, like write down, what's a negative thought that you tell yourself unconsciously or consciously that has always been with you. So sometimes like mine is like, if I'm not perfect, I won't be loved, or I'm not smart enough, or whatever that weird kind of negative voices, you could write it down, and then you can ask yourself, is this true? Because the truth will set you free. And oftentimes when we're little, that inner critic is when it gets shaped, right? Because 0 to 7 years, that's the most impactful time of our lives, right? Because our parents are some, our grandparents' environment, even from a Kabbalistic view, it's your karma, it's like all this stuff, right? And we're taking all these impressions on our 7-year-old little self. And at some point, it's not true anymore, that the age is no longer true for us. So we just have to kind of detach from that programming and create a new program. So buying it and learning to let it go and create something new. So that could be a fun thing you could do, with your circles. And I find it to be so helpful for myself and people. And you can do it as many times as you need to, too. So it's a great exercise. So I thought of that for everyone to maybe try.
I love it. I feel like I see myself like doing it almost every day, because sometimes, I've been reading about the connections between the emotions in the way you eat. Like if you feel a certain way, then you cry, I don't know, you want chocolate, or you want something like, I don't know, salad. And then how everything is related. So maybe if you find yourself like eating a lot or certain food or chocolate, maybe you can track back about okay, what makes me, how did I get here? So then you can track, you can find the thought, and what it's most important, I think, find a way to replace it. So I love the exercise.
Yeah, that's perfect. I know, it just always makes me think, like Dr. LaVey said that quote, last year, but our Billy says it all the time. But it's like, a conscious woman who is open her heart is unstoppable. And that's really all this is. It's just conscious living and, being, the bigger observer of your life. And recently I'm going through teacher training right now in Nav Yoga, which is so cool. And over the weekend, we were talking about the 3 brains that we have. So we're talking about, the reptilian brain, which is your survival brain, and then your mammalian brain, which is your emotional, pleasure seeking and reward brain, and then you have your neocortex brain, which is kind of like your higher self and bigger picture thinking. But it's interesting because a lot of us, like the ego or the inner critic, kind of comes from the more reptilian and mammalian brain, right? Because it's like we crave something, and if we eat it, it gives us pleasure, and we get that instant reward, right? And so and then the reptilian brain is just reactive, kind of like our caveman brain. So it's like fight or flight. So sometimes like it's a really good explanation of why it's hard to make lasting change, because if we're just only living in those 2 brains, we're not, being that conscious, big help us in tune with our bodies. And what they're doing is, it's so special because it's, it's teaching all of us like the power of, knowing yourself and becoming conscious and really working through your stuff. Like it's unleashing like our power and our creativity, to help save the world. So it's really cool.
Wow, that's beautiful. So I stay in my heart something that you say, this beautiful quote from Dr. Levy, like a woman with an open heart, it's unstoppable. And imagine like around the world opening their heart. So it's beautiful. Teresa, you're beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is so fun. Thank you.
Yes, your smile, you have beautiful comments here. Teresa, you're super sweet and happy. Thank you for sharing your story. So agree with you. Me too, Nam, sister. So
thank you.
thank you everyone also for joining in this call. And thank you, Teresa, one more time. I love you. You know,
Absolutely. Thank you.
and I am super grateful to have you here so everybody get to know you better and love you as I do. So
Yes.
we'll see
Thank you.
everyone next month in our next Women's Call meeting of the month in February. And have a beautiful, beautiful night. And see you soon. Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you, Lola. Mwah.